Coming in at number 10, I have The Surge 2. Back in 2017, The Surge was somewhat of a surprise success story, and this game looks to pick up where it left off. Quite literally, it's based just a couple of months after the timeline of the first game. It's in a much better looking location called Jericho City. The vegetation is something that was lacking in the first, and that was probably just due to the environment, but the game does look better graphically as well. It's going to be a much larger game and a much less restrictive open world game from what I can tell, so it should give explorers a lot more to do. Coming in at spot number 9, I chose Biomutant. This game really intrigues me. Visually, it looks amazing, and while I can tell this part of the trailer right here is just CGI, and it's not actual gameplay, from the little bit of gameplay I have seen, it looks really cool. These are one of those games from an unknown developer, at least to me, that could just totally kill it, or it could be a disaster. So it'll be interesting to see what happens toward the winter, fall or winter of this year in 2019 when this is slated to come out, how this actually does. But basically Biomutant is set in a world struck by natural disaster. And there's this poisonous oil that comes up beneath the ground and pollutes everything, the Tree of Life. And the Tree of Life has all these roots and it gives life to the world. Basically, everything's mutating, and you can mutate to change your looks and abilities, and there's biomechanical body parts, which is really cool, robotic legs or whatever, wings, all kind of cool stuff. So it's really creative, it looks really amazing, and it's just one of those crapshoot type of games, and I hope it works out. So this is Biomutant coming in at spot number 9. Coming in at spot number 8, I chose Greedfall. Greedfall is an upcoming action role-playing game. It was developed by Spiders. Spiders did Technomancer a few years ago. I really enjoyed that. And the game is published by Focused Home Interactive, and they've done a ton of great games. So there's a lot of credibility here. The game is set in the 17th century, although it's a fantasy-stylized game. Not only in look, but the fact that it has magic and monsters. Basically, there's an island paradise that's been discovered by these colonial forces. You can side with these natives, or you can side with monster factions, and your decisions in the game will affect the story as well as the relationship between these different factions. And we've seen that before, but it's a really cool setting. I love the creativity here, and you're going to play alongside mercenaries and settlers, and it looks fun. And this is coming in at number 8. This is Greedfall.
Look at what your people have done, Renaigse. Will you stand for this?
Coming in at number 7, I chose the Ghost of Tsushima, or just Ghost of Tsushima. It's set in 1274 on Tsushima Island in Japan, and the game revolves around the last samurai. And it's during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. As the last samurai Jin, you'll have to master a new fighting style, the Way of the Ghost. And that means a lot of stealth gameplay and a lot of stealth mechanics, which I enjoy. Obviously, the game's open world. It's very, very big from what I understand. Sony Interactive Entertainment is a part of this. They're the publisher. So you know it's going to be a AAA game. You know it's going to be top-notch. Obviously, the animations here, the CGI looks amazing. Hopefully, the gameplay will too. I have full expectations that it will. But there's going to be a lot of one-on-one sword fighting with katanas and things like that. But stealth, I guess, is the big aspect of this game. So I'm really looking forward to it. It just seems like there's going to be a lot to do, a lot of side quests. You'll do a lot of horseback riding, and there's a grappling hook so you can access other areas that are harder to reach. I think it really does try to stay true to the time frame. It's more of a historical type of environment, so much as it's not fantasy related. It's very much an aspect of being in that time frame. Another cool feature that the developers talked about is the game will not feature any waypoints. and can be entirely explored without any guidance. And this was something that was important to them. And we don't know right now if it's a setting feature or you can turn it off and on, but it should really help immerse you into this world and makes the game much more difficult, which for me makes it more fun to play.
There you are. Wondering what's going on, eh?
Coming in at number 6, I chose The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds will be available around winter 2019 from what I can tell. It's going to be late in the year most likely. The game is set in the distant future where mega corporations have begun colonizing and terraforming alien planets. This specific colony was originally supposed to go to the furthest reaches of the galaxy, but the colony's ships, faster than light travel, stops working evidently, and it leaves it abandoned at the edge of colony space. This is a first-person role-playing game, and you awake as a character on board this vessel from cryosleep, and you find out most of the passengers are still in hibernation. And you begin a journey to a nearby colony to investigate the true nature of these corporations. There's several factions and a branching storyline based on your decision making. One of the reasons I'm excited about it is because two of the creators of the Fallout series are directors in this game. So they have a big handprint and a lot of involvement, I understand. And as you can just see from the verbiage there from the creators of the Fallout and Fallout Vegas, which is one of my favorite Fallout games, it's going to be a weird, wacky, colorful game. And it's going to have a very Fallout feel, I think, but in a new twist based in space. So Fallout fans, you should be looking forward to The Outer Worlds. And that comes in at number 6 on my top upcoming open world games list. Coming in at spot number 5, I have The Sinking City. And let me just preface this first and foremost. If you're watching this after June 29th and the game is terrible, I get it. Because as of right now, this game has jumped around, I must say, jumped around my list a little bit. As of right now, I feel like this game could be another one of those boom or bust type games. The developer is Frogwares. They have a lot of experience with adventure and puzzle games and things like that, but nothing in my opinion, that has just been just a standout or a AAA. So I'm intrigued by this game. I love the setting. I mean, look at it. It's super cool. It's set in the 1920s in some town called Oakmont, which is half submerged in water, and it's got all these supernatural forces and monsters. It's a gloomy, dark game. But look at that lady. I mean, she's got her mouth sewed together. How cool is that? So there's a lot to like about this game. It's a puzzle and investigation game. So the same company did Sherlock Holmes years back, so they know how to do this. And for me, it's more of an adult-oriented type of game because, and I shouldn't say that because, you know, younger people may want a slow game, but I feel this is going to be like a slow burn type of game. You know, there's going to be some action. I mean, it talks about all the weapons you have available to you, but there's going to be a lot of this conversation and a lot of fact-finding, and I think that makes it a unique game in today's atmosphere. You know, we all want action and first-person shooters and all this stuff, but I think this one is meant to just slow things down and really take it all in kind of game, and I'm looking forward to that. It's one of those games that I think if it plays well, you could lose months in it, you know, and I'm hoping not for my time's sake, I'm hoping that this game turns into that and it doesn't become a bust, because it has a lot going for it already. And like I said, this game was much lower on my list at first. I think I had it at number 9. And I've bumped it up twice since then before I decided to make this video based on things that I have found and the media that's out there and some of the videos. The story is based on the universe of H.P. Lovecraft. I don't even know if you've ever heard of him, but the story's great. The gloom and doom is really interesting to me. Obviously, it's an open world. I keep wanting to mention that, but it is an action-adventure puzzle game, and I think it will be really fun and entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it, and this comes in, The Sinking City comes in at spot number 5 on the top upcoming open world games list.
Treat you like every other criminal here.
Never mind. Reed is a stranger in a strange land.
Coming in at number 4, I chose Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's set to be released sometime in 2020. We don't know any more specifics other than that. And this game, you think that's a long time. This game has taken a long time to come to fruition. Back in 2003, the initial Beyond Good and Evil was released. And while it suffered from poor sales, it did develop a cult following. Because of the poor sales, it was shelved. And after over 10 years of development, the game is finally almost here. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is an open world game, and it's the most open world game of any on this list. You have a giant solar system sandbox to play in, with seamless transfer between walking on a planet and flying around in space. It's truly open world in every definition of the words. So the game is set in the 24th century in System 3 of the Milky Way galaxy. And it's, like I said, it's an action-adventure game, but it has a lot more role-playing elements than the first game did, if you ever played the first game. So there's a lot more role-playing. Your companions will level up as well as you. A big part of it is customizing your spaceship or spacecraft. I don't know if you can buy new ones yet, but I've seen so many different videos and media showing different spacecraft. So I'm assuming you'll have different access to spacecraft. And this is an online game, so even if you're not playing multiplayer, other players will be able to, take part in your universe. So you'll be together seamlessly in the same game. Not exactly sure how that's going to work, obviously, but I do know two things. The game is being developed and published by Ubisoft, and it's been in development for 10 years, and it's based on a small but really religious cult following that is Beyond Good and Evil fan base. So I know it's going to be good. I can't wait for it to happen. I don't know much more than what I've told you. It's coming in 2020, but it takes spot number 4 on my upcoming open world games list. Coming in at spot number 3, I chose Halo Infinite. And listen, if you've ever played a Halo game, any of them, you know that it's good. This game is going to be good. We just don't know how good. This is a direct follow-up to 2015's Halo 5 Guardians. This game is supposed to be delivered to us sometime in late 2019, although it wouldn't surprise me if it shows up in 2020. They didn't call it Halo 6 for a reason. Halo Infinite is supposed to be a new beginning for something bigger and better for the Halo series. That's what we're told. A big part of their new hype that's coming out is this new game engine technology known as the Slipspace engine. And this is going to be a big focal point in the new generation consoles as well. And it's going to be configured better toward those whenever those come out. And those, I mean the new Xbox, because this is an Xbox and PC game only. There may be some cross collaboration or cross-platform gaming, but we don't know any details on that yet. There's going to be much more focus on Master Chief in this game, and it's the first time in any real sense of being open world that this game is the first open world Halo game. So obviously we're the reason it's on this list, but that's pretty new for the entire series. There's been some open world elements in parts of other games, but this is truly an open world game. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be amazing. And again, it's supposed to be late 2019. So Halo Infinite comes up at number 3 on my list. Coming in at spot number 2, I chose Dying Light 2. It's expected late 2019, although there is a small chance that it could slip into 2020. It's going to be available for all platforms. It took me a while to decide where to put Dying Light 2, and that's because I wanted to put it at number 1. At the end of the day, I ended up at number 2, and I think it's a good spot for it, considering how well Dying Light was received and how well it did and how well it's still doing. Techland did a great job with Dying Light, and they put a lot of resources into this new game. Look, I understand people are tired of zombie games. I personally am not tired of it, and I know millions of other people aren't. Whether it's movies or games, many people love zombie movies. That aside, this game takes place 15 years after the events of Dying Light. So Dying Light 2 is 15 years later, basically. And you can see by the landscape, look at the green growing everywhere. What a cool shot that is. This world is 4 times larger than Dying Light. 4 times bigger, and Dying Light was already big enough. So at some point these games are going to get so big where it's like, what's the point? But 4 times bigger, and the game is really in the dark ages at this point, because 15 years of fighting and just dystopianness, if that's even a word, has led to just a much more worse situation than it was. The game is all about the fact that it's organic, and the decisions that you make change the game. So you'll have, I don't know if there's going to be several different endings, I'm sure there's got to be, but the way it's showing that video now is that the decisions you make and the factions that you join will change in very different ways, and there's hundreds of decisions basically, will change the way the game plays out. Another important aspect of it is the zombies themselves. The zombies have different levels, if you will. They start out as viral infections, so people that just got bitten are still very fast, but they can still spread it to you. And then there's the traditional zombies that you would see in Dying Light games. And then there's the really degenerated zombies that are like got limbs falling off of them, and they're a lot more slow and a lot more visually oozing, if you will. This game looks great. I can't wait for it. Dying Light 2 is number 2 on my list of upcoming open world games. Coming in at number 1, we have Death Stranding. And really, how could it be anything else, right? It's an open world game, and it's number 1. Death Stranding is set to release November 8th, 2019. And it's set for release exclusively on the PS4. And I'm assuming we're going to have a lot more PS4 owners around that time so they can play as well. But it looks really weird. We just got a lot of new information and a new trailer recently. It still hasn't clarified to me what the game is, but it looks really amazing. It looks really weird and surreal, and it's a third-person open-world adventure game, and I think it sums it up best. I'm actually going to read a quote from Hideo Kojima, and he's been around for a long time. He makes me look young, and he's been around a long time, Metal Gear fame and whatnot. This was his next big, and some say his final project. We'll see. But this is actually Hideo's own words. I'm going to read it. Death Stranding is a completely new type of action game where the goal of the player is to reconnect isolated cities and a fragmented society. It is created so that all the elements, including the story and gameplay, are bound together by the theme of the strand, or connection. As Sam Porter bridges, you will attempt to bridge the divides in society, and in doing, create new bonds or strands with other players around the globe. Through your experience playing the game, I hope you'll come to understand the true importance of forging connections with others. So when Mr. Kojima talks about this collaboration and connectivity and communication, the idea is that there's somehow this game is going to have some kind of global player collaboration. That's the 3 words that keeps, being mentioned, and there's going to be some kind of real-world social media element. So where you connect to the players in-game and also via social media, possibly simultaneously, I don't know. And it makes sense because the way we communicate now on a global scale is through social media and all the different platforms. So it'll be interesting to see what they roll out with that. We've gotten a lot more information lately, although it's like getting pieces to a puzzle, and it's a huge puzzle, and you're getting like a middle piece and an edge piece, and you don't really know what it's all going to add up to, but it looks phenomenal. It's going to be a blast, and this whole scene right here, besides the somewhat Star Wars looking lightsabers here, it reminds me of Metal Gear Phantom Pain, which makes sense. I mean, that was his game and his whole series for really his whole professional life, so I love that game. So what's not to love, right? So this game should be amazing, and obviously the acting is going to be off the charts. Norman Reedus is going to be, the main protagonist in the story, and I'm not sure what his name is in the game. It's probably mentioned somewhere, but you know, Norman Reedus is from a bunch of movies. He's also from The Walking Dead. He's a great actor. Here he is here. And so between the story, the acting, the writing, it should be just an amazing journey. Really looking forward to it. It had to be number one. It really couldn't be anything else. So there's a lot of information still left to come, but I think they're smart enough to save the really neatest, the biggest bits for the end and leave it as a surprise for everyone. So here we have Death Stranding coming at number one. Okay, I'm going to get some flack for this one, but I don't care. I'm naming Cyberpunk 2077 as an honorable mention. Yes, it's going to be a top 10 game when it comes out. It'll be phenomenal. But the problem is when it comes out. It's been delayed multiple times. I think CD Projekt Red is just really bitten off a huge, I wouldn't say more than they can chew, because they'll eventually get it down, but it's just been a huge undertaking for them. Rumor has it there's over 400 development staff working on the game this year, which is more than Witcher 3, and we all know how big that game was. So this game will prove to be amazing, and I have no doubt about it, but I put it in honorable mention because the truth is I don't know when it's going to be here. I've read that it could be as late as 2021, and really no one knows. And it's been delayed so many times, I didn't want to chance it, but it deserves to be mentioned here. It is coming, and it's going to be awesome. It's not going to be just for PS4. I'm too lazy to fix it at the bottom. It's going to be for PC, PS4, and Xbox. It's based in Night City, California. It's a dystopian Night City, California. It's 2077, obviously. It's based on a tabletop game, Cyberpunk 2020. Came out in 1988. I was just a kid. I never played it. Maybe you did. But it's going to have a ton of customization options. It's going to be really fun. Cyberpunk 2077 gets my honorable mention. And it's coming eventually, maybe 2077. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. See ya!